office. The green light goes at the end of the pits, and we go straight out onto the circuit. Knit two together. Wham bam, thank you and good night from X30 senior qualifying heat B versus G. Now on to D versus H. And it's going to be a problem for the Saudi driver, Mehdi Lassoud. Another driver who's right up at the sharp end. So Mehdi Lassoud should be going off P4. Can they get going? Yes, they can. Thank goodness for that. So Clement Outram from Enki Kalteren, Eli Goldstein alongside Mehdi Lassoud. Then Jack Nettleship, Arnold Malizia, Yoko Castro, Jack Buckley, Aaron Garcia, Pedro Cacciara, Angelo Meli, Charlie Gloom, Lewis Bird, Emmanuel Iodakis, Kevin Lantinga and Chris Bingham.
And we have David Goncalves and Reyes Newburn, Luca Federico Rodriguez and Santiago da Costa Ribeiro, followed by Enrique Oliveira, JC Bennett, Juan Aluja, then Tom Remmert, Oren England, Harrison Tigerson, Francisca Queiroz, Hugo Bren, Austin Gale. Then we have Aral Mattison, Lars Vennick, Mark Lopicolo and Oscar Cura. Interestingly, half of the grid that we have is on slick tires. So that's going to be an interesting bet. We've seen what Colin McQueen was able to do with that rubber. Look at the color of the sky on halfway above our heads here in Portimao. The other half is under a slight sun through the cloud and a bit of a blue sky as well. So it's half and half conditions, but the track is drying out at the moment.
Yeah, over the mountain, it is still very wet indeed. And that rain cloud, if the wind blows in the correct direction, it's going to be great for the drivers on wet tyres, but it's looking bone dry at the moment. And noticing the drivers as they come to the pre-grid for the next race, they're all getting ready on slicks. There are no wets in sight. They've clearly seen the writing on the wall, and they don't want to be on slick tire. They don't want to be on wet tyres for the next one. So that's going to be very interesting indeed. But yeah, tricky to note who has gone on wets and who has gone on slicks. It's going to be one of those days. So the wet tyre runners are Goldstein, disaster as far as he's concerned, Nettleship, Castro, Malizia. We've also got Cacciada, Charlie Gloom, Aaron Garcia, I noticed, David Goncalves, Lucas Frederick, Da Costa, Newburn, Bingham, Bennett, Oliveira, Aluya. If you are Lars Vennick and Mark Lopiccolo on slick tyres on the penultimate row of the grid, you are sitting so pretty at the moment because it's looking like you've made exactly the right choice. But, of course, this is Portimao. If it starts raining on lap 3, suddenly you're on the wrong tyres again.
Yeah, that's going to be a tricky race, certainly for some of the protagonists. And Eli Goldstein, the first one, is lining up behind Clement Outram, who's on slick tires, Goldstein on wets, and Enki Kalteren and Mehdi Lassoud on slicks as well. So Goldstein amongst the top 4 certainly won't be the one in the most comfortable of positions. Remains to be seen if the conditions will stay the same, but by the look of it, it's on for dry conditions.
Yeah, Goldstein's going to be praying to Cacophonix the Bard, isn't he? He wants some rain. Here we go. Up to the first corner, still a bit greasy on the start for trying to counter it on slick tyres. This is where Goldstein can get a little bit of purchase. Up to the first corner, bit of bouncing around from Kalteren, but he manages to get the kart turned in, and Goldstein is still there in 3rd position, so he's not lost a massive amount of ground yet. But all it's going to take is a little bit of pace and heat into these slick tyres, and then all of a sudden it will change hands as the field works its way through. A very clean start so far, but Kalteren is all over the back bumper of Clement Outram, who wants to try and make a bit of a break. Goes for the move on the inside to dive in. Goldstein is just plummeting back now as he has no speed on those wet tyres and skating around. Goodness me, a few drivers really running the gauntlet. And as you can see, Outram and Kalteren disappearing in front of Goldstein, who's still there in 3rd position, but holding on to this 3rd is going to be a very tough mission.
And he's got his teammate Arnaud Malizia just behind. Malizia was able to make his way through, but he's on wets as well. So dramatic turn of event for the TP car drivers, both on wet tires. After what happened to Eduardo Villa, who couldn't take part in this race.
Here we go, charging through. That's Lewis Bird. Bird has already stormed past them and also going to get through. That's Angelo Meli for the Eichmann's team. And the Brennan Tech of Jack Buckley will storm through as well.
Yeah, that's the end of it, unfortunately, for Goldstein and Malizia. Unable to fight back, unable to keep the pace, of course, on those wet tires. So after the drama to Villa, that's 2 other drivers of the same team in really difficult conditions.
You've got to hope for rain now, essentially, and there's a spit out. That's Mark Lopiccolo, I do believe. So that's one of the drivers on slick tyres who was hoping to work his way through the field. So Mark Lopiccolo, unfortunately, game over for the Frenchman. But those drivers on wet tyres need rain right now. Right now. You can't afford to have it again 2 or 3 laps from now, because if you run 2 or 3 laps on wet tyres on slick conditions, you're going to wear the tread down something chronic. So even when the rain comes, you won't have enough tread to do anything about it. So you need the rain right now. And unfortunately, it's not going to come. So Uhtran and Kalteren way out in front. Then it's Lewis Bird and Angelo Melli doing a fabulous job in 4th position, having made the switch across from Euro-karting to the Eichmann's Grand Prix team. Great to see the young Belgian talent doing a great job. Jack Buckley P5, then Lantinga, Liodakis, Lasud, England, and in 10th position now is Ellie Goldstein, 8.7 seconds back after just 2 laps.
And that would do good for Henki Kalteren to pick up a winning result. He had a penalty of 5 seconds yesterday for what is considered a bad maneuver, and we've seen that against Julian Kamen, if you remember, in one of the first heats of the class. 5-second penalty for Kalteren on the charge on Clément Autran, who's been really picking up the pace for the past few months. Clément Autran doing wonders in this class and others as well in the World Championship. So it will be certainly one of the contenders if he can keep Henki Kalteren at bay. Otherwise, easier said than done. Those two know each other quite well from the IMSU's Benelux as well. But Uhtran Kalteren very much on their own. Angelo Melli is 3.7 seconds down.
Ooh.
Going a bit wide. Clément Autran is under pressure. You can feel it quite clearly, but Kalteren is not rushing into things. Maybe you want to wait. If you can keep the pace going that way, maybe you want to wait a little bit more into that race, letting Clément Autran do the effort and maybe surprise him in the second part.
Interestingly, all 3 of the top drivers are now IAMI Benelux regulars, because Angelo Melli has managed to get through past Lewis Bird and has got through to 3rd position. Or in England, the Irishman actually picks up the fastest lap. There is the Sodi Kart, the 3:28 there of Oscar Cura, the Filipino driver for City Kart Racing. His fellow Sodi Kart user, Mehdi Lasud, is in 8th position. He was one of the top drivers coming into this race, and now losing a few points is definitely going to hurt Mehdi Lasud's point score. So here comes the charge for Henki Kalteren. Will he dive through up the inside? No, he's not going to make the move yet on Clément Autran. They've pulled 4 seconds on Angelo Melli, who's in 3rd position, having a terrific duel with not only Lewis Bird, but also Jack Buckley. In fact, Buckley has got through on Lewis Bird, I noticed, for 4th position. So the Irishman for the Brennan Tech team is now up in P4, gunning for Angelo Melli to get through into 3rd position if he can find the space. Here is that battle. Melli, Buckley, Bird, Lantinga, Liodakis and Lasud. And here comes the charge for Buckley. He's going to get some assistance from Lewis Bird, and they'll both dive forward past Angelo Melli, but Melli has nothing he can do to stop it from happening. So Jack Buckley, the Brennan Tech machine, getting through into 3rd position ahead of Lewis Bird.
Yeah, watch out as well for Angelo Melli, because he might have Kevin Lantinga going his way with Liodakis and Mehdi further back as well. Or in England, in the meantime, the fastest, the Irish driver, Angelo Melli, dropping a bit of momentum by the look of it, and he has now Kevin Lantinga on his tail. Lantinga from the driver of Energy Corset, and now with his Tony Kart machine for KCR. Lantinga on the way of Angelo Melli, as we're back here with the leaders. Clément Autran, Henki Kalteren, the French against the Dutchman. Clément Autran, former winner of the IMSU's Benelux and one of the victory lane drivers.
That's Le Piccolo.
Out of this race.
And he's Marc Le Piccolo, who had his problem on the first lap, of course. So Marc Le Piccolo not going any further. Oh, it's just going from bad to worse for Eddie Goldstein. His first sector was 20.4. That's 2 seconds slower than anybody else's up the inside. Another victory lane driver on the move. I think that is Emmanuel Liodakis, isn't it? Coming his way forward.
Yes, indeed, on Kevin Lantinga. So Lantinga, we thought for a moment, could threaten Angelo Melli, but it's down to Liodakis to put himself in that role. Lost a bit of momentum as he was committing to his move, but Angelo Melli is still under threat, that's for sure. As we follow as well the battle between Greg Buckley and Lewis Bird. It's going to be a close one for third, as well as this one for the win. Henki Kalteren and Clément Autran willing to pick up their first winning result so far in the qualifying heats. That would do them good. Clément Autran third overall in the classification if he stays where he is, while Henki Kalteren is still outside the top 8 as we speak.
The sunshine has stopped again, and now the wind is blowing the rain clouds back over the circuit again. This could change hands before the end of the race, and that could be very tricky for those drivers up front on slick tyres, but it'll also be tricky for the drivers on wets, because they've done 6 racing laps on a dry circuit with wet tyres, because even the wet tyres will not actually grip that well when the rain comes back, because they've had so much tread worn off them. They'll be screaming hot, the wet tyres. And I don't really think if it rains now, it's actually going to make that much of an impact. So it's a bit of a tricky one, but if it rains, it all comes down to who's got the brains, who's got the street smarts to get these karts home. And certainly in the battle between Uhtran and Kalteren, it's tough to tell, because both guys have speed, both have the tendency to make mistakes under pressure, so both of them are going to be absolutely backs to the wall to try and get home first.
And let's not forget that according to the rules, all those drivers have whether wet or slick tires. They only have 2 sets to make it to the final on Saturday. And usually they keep that one set between qualifying, all throughout the heats and in the superheat for Saturday morning, keeping the fresher set for the final. But this time around, of course, as we are jungling between wets and slicks for the past few races, it's really down to chance to be able to keep those tires alive throughout the course of all those races. As running inside in turn number 3, the 222 of Lewis Bird on Jake Buckley. That was for P3, and it was a very clean move on the inside, allowing Angelo Melli and Kevin Lantinga as well to get close. It's going to be, I guess, a 4-driver battle on the way to the checkered flag, with Lantinga being the fastest on track out of those 4. Maybe be able to launch an attack. Look at how close Angelo Melli is as well, but being taken in sandwich out there. He needs to commit to his move, otherwise he's going to be eaten alive by Kevin Lantinga just behind. As at the moment, Henki Kalteren is waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity to really launch an attack. But watch out for the slipstream. After those 2 corners, he might want to go for the move.
Angelo Melli and Jack Buckley are having a mighty Royal Rumpus at the moment. 4th position now for Melli. He's managed to get through there into P4 in front of Jack Buckley and has sustained it. In fact, Kevin Lantinga's actually been able to get through into P5 now as well. So big difficulties there for Jack Buckley. It didn't work out for him there on the end of lap 8. 2 laps still to go. Uthran has been waiting for this move to come from Kalteren all the way through. He's actually got traffic in front of him, would you believe? That's how difficult it is to get grip out of these tyres on wet tyres. Everybody who is on wets has just fallen down the field. There's no grip at all, as running wide and getting out of the way, that is Tom Remert, who's obviously had problems already for the VDB racing team, but now he's been lapped. You don't see that every day in Miami X30, drivers being lapped in a competitive race. And that shows you the difference between the drivers on slicks and the drivers on wets. If you're on wet tyres, tough luck. You're having a miserable day at the office. And to compound that, Ellie Goldstein is 38 seconds off the lead, down in 13th place. Clement Uthran and Henki Kalteren have now got a very unusual task.
Wow.
They've got a battle for the victory, whilst also picking off the traffic. Oh, this is going to be tricky for Uthran. Surely a chance now opening up for Kalteren, and he knows it, but he hasn't been able to take full advantage of it. They've got traffic in front of them. Look, they've got 3 carts to negotiate. Kalteren's got to keep his wits about him. He's got to hope for an opportunity here on Clement Uthran. Can he pop it up the inside? They've got a slow cart in front of them. That's the 214 of Rhys Newburn. Can he get through? No. He's not able to make the jump on Uthran as a result of the traffic. Well done to both drivers for picking their way through without losing an inch of time.
That was a bit of a heated moment, but Clement Uthran went diving through left and right through the different drivers. Henki Kalteren, and on the inside, he clipped the curb almost, but Henki Kalteren takes the lead into the last lap. At that point when there was no other drivers, and there's someone else into the mix as well, but Kalteren just made his commitment. Watch out for the last 2 corners. Can Clement Uthran fight back? This will be a little bit too late, unfortunately. And Kalteren at the finish.
Uthran's got a good run though.
Oh, that's gonna be tight, and he closes the door, but Kalteren takes the lead and the win in the end.
Well done to Henki Kalteren. I tell you what, he really had a fight for that one. Clement Uthran made him work all the way to the line, and Kalteren just darting across the road to stop Uthran getting up alongside. I don't think Clement Uthran will take very kindly to that, but Henki Kalteren just managing to execute the bold move on the final lap and then hang on to it despite the traffic, despite running on the curbs. Henki Kalteren, that's the best way to re-galvanise his week.
And another win conquered into the last lap, as Kevin McQueen just did before. But Henki Kalteren, what a move that was, and very aggressive onto the line to secure that first win of his after a penalty of yesterday. That will do him good indeed for Henki Kalteren. Clement Uthran had done most of the effort, but Kalteren was glued to him for most of the race, waited for the right opportunity. It came in at the last lap, but that was a hectic moment indeed, with all those back markers into the way of Clement Uthran. Didn't make his life any easier for the Frenchman from VDK. Instead managed to go through all those drivers the right way, but unfortunately Kalteren picked up the pace and took advantage of a little bit of a door open to steal the win and seal the deal. Henki Kalteren, Clement Uthran, Lewis Bird, your top 3 from Jake Buckley. Angelo Melli picking up 6 places up to P5 from Kevin Lantinga. Oran England, 18 places gained up to P7 from Liadukis. Then we have Mehdi Lassoud, as well as Austin Gale running at the top 10 with 19 places even gained by Austin Gale. 17 places collected for Hugo Brun up to 11.